Latinx triple down. The Latinx triple down, its first use came when the media was trying to find a term that could cite specific gay Latinos that were massacred at the Orlando mass shooting, which was heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. So the Latinx that was like the first time a media, used that. And you could say that the word came from academia, whether it was gringos or not. It was definitely backed up by Latino academia in the States, Latinx. There was that immediate pushback. And like I said, poll after poll, even our little poll, shows that we don't like that name. Don't call us that. Some people even say it's offensive and it's a racial slur. I don't feel that way, but I get it. I will say Latinx makes perfect sense to those Latinos who are in the gay community. Totally get it. Totally get it. So the double down was about, I would say, maybe 6 months ago or less, when an article came out from another Latino academic saying that if you do not use Latinx, you are transphobic and you advocate violence against trans. That was the double down. I have invited him on the channel. Got no response. I still invite you on the channel to talk about this. To say that we advocate violence to anyone just because we don't call ourselves that. That's insanity. Now the triple down. Connecticut lawmakers who tried to ban Latinx now promote LatinÉ. Here's a story, guys. And it's in the story. About 6 months ago, these same lawmakers, Democrats in Connecticut, wanted to ban Latinx off of government paperwork. I guess they got a pushback. And I guess they bent the knee, because that is the Latinx triple down. Not a double down, it's a triple down. LGBTQ groups in the state say including the gender neutral LatinÉ in state documents, which is interestingly being used in Latin America, is a victory. That's the subline, the subheader there. So it's a gender neutral LatinÉ. LatinÉ is gender neutral, which is increasingly being used in Latin America. Advocacy groups call this a victory. So this is the gentleman Reyes who initially tried to get it banned. Several Latino legislatures in Connecticut who had proposed banning the term Latinx in state documents, calling it offensive and a woke term, are proposing the use of another gender-neutral word already being used in Spanish-speaking Latin America. The bill, HB 6909, aims to approve the use of the terms LatinÉ as well as Latino and Latina in state documents and official communications. The legislation wouldn't prohibit the use of Latinx. For a coalition of LGBTQ groups in the state, the recent proposal is a win. The lead co-sponsor of the new bill is State Representative Elardo Reyes, a Democrat who previously led the legislation of the Latinx ban. That move came weeks after Arkansas Huckabee Sanders banned the term in state documents on her first day in office. Reyes says his motivations to ban Latinx different from Sanders. He said Spanish language defaults to Latino for everyone, regardless of gender, and argued that Latinx is not a Spanish word was offensive to Connecticut's Puerto Rican population. In a perfect world, I think that we wouldn't be using the word Latinx Banning was not the right word, but we just didn't want to use Latinx randomly to associate it with everybody, Reyes said in an interview in NBC News. There's no punitive action. There's nobody out there policing it. We're just making this an awareness situation. We'll see how it plays out for a year, and then we'll see if we have to do something else next year. Quote, the fact that we've gotten those 6 legislators that are just from a different generation to see the light and to acknowledge that the term LatinÉ does come from our community is acceptable. It is inclusionary. I think it is a victory for the LGBT community, Roman, who testified in the bill's hearing, told NBC News. Roman self-identifies as LatinÉ. He said he was once a major proponent of the term LatinX to describe his identity due to a lack of option within the binary Spanish language. Roman said Reyes and the other legislatures shifted their stance after learning about LatinÉ as a general neutral alternative. The term has been picking up steam. It is organically coming from Central, South, and the Caribbean of the Americas. And now it is here in the US, he said. If the bill is passed in the state Senate, it would go into effect in October. Problem with this is that legislatures last year tried to ban Latinx from state. They made it an issue. I think when you make something an issue like identifying terms, there's always going to be that group that's going to come back and protest. And that's exactly what happened. So they probably protested. They got the 15 LGBT, groups there in Connecticut, Waterbury, whatever. And they probably raised a ruckus like, hey, what is this? We need to speak. And that's when they had the hearings. They had hearings. And, that's what these turn of events happen. Let's go to this part right here. I'm going to read this again. This is a quote from Roman. The fact that we've gotten those 6 legislatures that are just from a different generation to see the light. It's the older generation. That's the problem. This is the triple down, right? This is the triple down. Okay? The majority of the Latinos have spoken. Groups, legislatures, Republican and Democrat have spoken. Don't use that word anymore on official paper. On our any official paperwork, don't use that word. Democratic process, right? People speak, majority speaks, majority wins. But that's not good enough. So you got to have the hearings. Then you go after them. They are the problem because they have to be. They're from a different generation. Yeah, they're Latino, but they're from a different generation. Oh yeah, they technically they're correct with the Spanish language. It's not a Spanish word, but they are the problem. They need to see the light, Paul. Because the older generation, are in the dark. Heaven forbid that we should actually respect our elders. You didn't win. That's it. But hey, you triple down and you got homeboys to bend the knee, and you got it. I would say it's a total win for you because not only did you get your LatinÉ term to be on government approved, if they use LatinX. That was the thing with LatinX. Well, it's not from us. LatinÉ, it's from us. See? Comes from our community. It is acceptable. It is inclusionary. What is this driving force to make people include you? Include anyone. I don't, if by some chance your family excluded you, which has happened, I'm sorry. Majority of people are very tolerant and loving people already. You're included. The Latino slant includes you. We include everybody. Now, I go back to this thing what really bugs me, and pay attention to this and push back on this. It really bugs me is this disrespect of people who are older, that We have brought them to the light. Whether it's this Latinx, LatinÉ, you pick all your garden variety, um, very, very extreme left ideas. It's always about dragging the people into the light. They need to evolve. I guess part of rebelling is disrespecting, in this case, your elders. Whereas part of the Latino culture is our elders are so important. And you talk about elders, you talk about being indigenous, being reconnected to your roots. It's really elder based. It's really elder based. You know, my dad taught me you always get up for someone when they walk in and walk out of a room. We've lost a lot of that. And I honestly believe that a lot of that is in this. A lot of entitlement. You know, it makes me think we need to make our younger generation go out there and actually do some yard work, pull some weeds, get out in the world, like a mandatory community service in the trenches with people. And then you're gonna see just how much we rely on regular folk, how society really works. Who does the heavy lifting? Who does the building? Who does the supporting? I think it's always interesting too that you know, the people always want to be equal and find the, you know, the equality, to be included in the really nice positions, the nice place, the nice paperwork, the nice letterhead. It's never the bricklayers. We want equal rights. You know, bricklayers of all stripes. I'm just saying, man. But honestly, I think this goes back to a disrespect of our elders. It goes back to that dismantling of our families. Listen, man, I'm a rebel. I love being rebellious and questioning authority, questioning things. I love that. I'm a big believer in that. I'm a Chicano. That's what a lot of us do, man. But you got to listen. You got to listen to what your people are telling you, what your leaders are telling you. And if you got a problem with your leaders, then you vote them out. If you can get that consensus, but if you're not that part of the full consensus, then you need to talk to your people. You need to see how you can coexist. Because coexist doesn't mean that we give up our values and principles. I am a recovering alcoholic. So if I used their methodology, you guys would have to stop drinking every time I come around. Every time I come around to your house or when we go meet up for a restaurant, I don't want to see you drink. You cannot drink around me. You cannot talk about drinking. You can't even think about drinking because that will just trigger me. My point is, it's life on life's terms, guys. You can call anything you fucking want. I don't care. But life on life's terms is that life goes on with or without you. You know, there's another thing that we say in the program, and I think it's such a great principle, man. We don't get to tell other people what to do. It's so damn simple. But who practices that? Maybe it's you that needs a little enlightenment. Stop trying to change other people so much and check your own shit. You're on government paper now. Are you happy? Are you fulfilled inside? If not, what's the next fight? Then the next fight. I think you see where I'm getting at here, guys.